Hey, how's it going, everyone? We are live, hopefully, for a small, little bit impromptu live stream with the AV collector. I don't think that's for collecting porn, is it? That's where we always got
Oh, no.
confused. But you may also know him as Adam on the Discord and one of the mods over there. So, yeah, I guess we can start with a little bit introduction if you want to let us know
Yeah,
bit
for
about
sure.
your tool collecting and yada yada, where we can find you
Yeah.
and so forth.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, so my name's Adam. Obviously, you guys know me more as AV Collector. I wanted to do an Instagram live because I actually just have too much stuff on my desk, and I really just wanted to pose it without it being like too much of a chore. So yeah, here I am. If you're not following me, feel free to follow or just check out my page. I'm not stingy with followers. But yeah, happy to be here.
Nice, yeah. Thanks for joining. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, you mentioned how you want to do a live stream on the Discord as well, and we're just chatting away. We can just chuck one up on YouTube at least, so that way people can watch it after effect as well if they can't join in because time zones are a bit of a bitch at times. Yeah, but yeah, if you haven't checked out stuff, it's your Insta is AV_collector. Check out his post. Awesome dynamic posing. Which is awesome to check it and for inspiration. I've used multiple times myself.
No, that is a great honor.
Nice.
Yeah, so currently right now I just have no time on my hands, but I finally got done with a couple big projects at university. And
Nice. Good job.
now I'm actually able to do stuff and be a person. And as you can see here, I got this not even like a fraction of what I gotta
You got a
mess
whole
with.
bunch of awesome.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, we'll just jump right into it. Let me grab some stands real quick.
Yeah. I will. First off, I've got a few questions. We can go over that first. But first
Yeah,
off,
of course.
what's up, Brad? Yeah, doing well, thank you. Hopefully, you are good as well. But yeah, if you guys have any posing questions or anything like that, just drop them in chat. But before we jump into the posing part,
Mhm.
what's the most recent figure that you've picked up that you just
So
can't put down?
I'm a very patient person. So like
Yeah.
I usually order from Hobby Genki,
Yeah.
and I usually do the warehouse option. And so the warehouse option, for those that don't know, I'm pretty sure most people know, but just in case, you're able to hold the figure or figures at your what is it called?
The
In like
warehouse,
their
right?
warehouse. Yeah, and then I usually wait pretty much forever. Like I just recently got, or in the most recent package, I got the full powered Frieza. So like
Okay.
that
Yeah.
kind of shows you how long I've been waiting. But I actually recently ordered another King Cold because over at Nin Game, I had no idea that there was loyalty points, and I racked up a
Yeah.
lot. Now and then I
Oh,
looked, I'm like,
nice.
oh cool. I'm like, oh, like I got
Okay.
enough to like get a big discount on this thing. And
Yeah.
since I'm in the US, I with all the tariffs going on, I'm kind of gonna wait it out and then
Yeah.
see. I know EMS is still sending over stuff to us, so just in case anybody didn't know, EMS is still sending stuff to us,
Yeah.
and it takes about like a week to get to us. But
Yeah. It's
since
tracked
it's
as well.
just
It's good.
since it's just one parcel, because King Cold's box was literally like this big, it was huge. So like
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be good with just sending that one over to myself in like the next couple of weeks. But yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's funny. I was cleaning up my wardrobe yesterday. I was like, man, this massive box. What monster arts is this? He's like, oh, never mind. It's King Cold. Forgot
Yeah,
about
it's
that.
just because of that throne. Like the throne's well made, but I was like, dang, like this thing was huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Massive.
I posted in the Discord like one of the packages. My
Yeah.
most
Oh, that's
recent
right.
package.
It's huge.
Yeah, and then I took like a Broly figure, I put it up next to it, and it was like
Yeah.
10 times bigger. And yeah, when I opened it up, I was like, oh wow, that's a really big package. And then or a really big figure. And I open it up and I was like, oh, it's King Cold. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to store that away because like the box is literally just like out in the open right now. I'm like, I have no idea where to put this.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree. Yeah, Brad's mentioned like the boxes. You get a lot when you keep them all, and like I do keep them all, but I've been saying I think I've been saying this for a while. I'm tempted to get rid of the shipper boxes just to reduce the size a bit, and I need to work out
Yeah.
a better system.
Yeah, honestly, I do that too. Unless it's like not even EEs. Like for the event exclusives, I just get rid of those. But I think the battle hour, like I kept those ones. I don't know why, but I just kept it.
But
For
more
whatever.
unique.
Yeah, seriously. I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess I'll keep that one. But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, the EE boxes, I was thinking, and as you can see here, fun fact, these are not open just because, yeah, all four of these, because I have not had any time. Like right when they came in, I was like, cool. And I just like put them away.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully I can do a little unboxing and like actually pose them up. Like this is a perfect excuse to pose anything up right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we're posing. I guess first off, if you want, just give us a couple of simple your tips and tricks about kind of posing. Maybe show us a few different ones, some dynamic ones, talk about stands. Yeah.
I got you. So I'm gonna start off with Cooler versus Kaioken Goku. So I had an extra Kaioken Goku laying around, and that's primarily just because of the. So I bought the 24K version, the one that popped up in the. Am I still in this? Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. I was trying to make the spotlight thing, but for some reason, yeah.
Yeah, you're all good. Yeah, so I bought one of the pretty much the matte Kaioken Gokus. I'm not sure how it is, but yeah, the US exclusive, similar to the new one that just came out. I wanted to, so I bought one extra for a friend, but then some stuff came up for him, so he wasn't able to. He wasn't able to really like collect anymore.
Yeah.
So I had an extra one laying around, and as fate would have it, my friend wanted to sell off a bit of his collection, and he was just like somebody I met off of Instagram. I completely forgot who, just because it's like recently. Or wait, did I do a trade? Either way, I was able to like get a cooler for a decent price.
Nice.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'll just have Cooler like beating him up then, because like that was realistically the only thing. So yeah, let me turn around, grab this. So obviously fourth form Cooler right here. And then you don't judge me, audience, but I'm gonna show my desk, and as you can see why I wanted to live stream and like take care of this. Hopefully my camera doesn't fall. Oh, this thing might fall. Cool. Jeez. Whatever. So yeah, as you can see, there's a reason why I wanted to do the live stream. There's just too much stuff on my desk. Yeah. So like, let me put it back on here. Jeez. Don't fall. Don't
worry, my room is basically kind of the same. I forgot, like a massive pile of stuff all in there. I've like piling up of what I need to.
The collector's curse. You just keep doing it. Here, I'm going to turn off my camera so people don't like get motion sickness. I'm going to make sure that this is actually on properly.
Yeah. All good.
But yeah, there's a reason. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, for anyone else watching, if you have any questions or any particular things in regards to posing, drop a comment, or you can always hit up AV Collector after the effect as well. Or just leave a comment if you're watching this after it's been live. You can always hit them up on Discord anytime for any tips and tricks.
Oh my gosh, this is like impossible. Oh, there we go. Okay. Jeez. Okay. Turning camera back on. All right, cool. So yeah, basically, there's no shame in it. We're all the same. All right, let's see. All right. So pretty much, I try to make logic. Oh, and excuse the floor. As you can see, too many packages coming in. But yeah, what I typically try to do is obviously scene recreation. But I try not to do it one-to-one, just because I like to put my own little flair in it. And like, as you know, I like to be more dynamic.
Yeah.
So first off, I always try to think logically as possible. And like, for example, I'm not going to pair up what's a great example? Like, I'm not gonna make Bulma beat up Frieza. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
yeah.
So
Yeah,
like,
I think. Yeah, I was gonna say, I think like all your photos are generally like pretty spot on to what you'd kind of see in this series in terms of
Mhm.
um the actual show pairings, right? And you
Yeah,
mentioned you tried to recreate scenes. Do you like look up an image from that scene online first and just take reference from that, or?
pretty much. Yeah. So I know that there's a like one of the iconic scenes from Cooler's Revenge. Was it Cooler's Revenge? Yeah, it was Cooler's Revenge, I think, where
Yeah,
he was featured. Like, it's kind of like him, like behind Goku. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah, yeah. That's right.
And like, I'm fine. Obviously, like some people will go with that, and some people won't because they want to be more dynamic. But I kind of go from there. So like, I watch the
Okay.
fight, and then I kind of just like make an inference of what to do. So
Hmm.
I typically try to start with poses like, or with something like this. I try to focus on the bigger character first and like what they're gonna
Okay.
do, or like whoever is beating up the other person, basically.
Okay.
Like, I try
So
to
the more
focus on,
dominant character.
exactly, yeah, just because like they're the ones doing more of the action, it's easy
Yeah.
to make a reaction from that, you know.
Okay, that's a good idea. So make the action and then follow up with the reaction. Okay.
Or whatever
So
is logical, because sometimes like the heavier figure, for example, so like the Brolys, they're
yeah.
they may like topple over, so you have to figure out how to balance it on here first, and
Okay.
then
Yeah.
you can add in the rest later, just because you want to you don't want that figure to fall, you know, because they're
Yeah.
expensive
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
you know, it'll just ruin the rest of your uh display. So anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, so right now I'm thinking of, give me a second, somebody's giving me a call, sorry.
Good. Well, you check that. Sup, Weeaboo? Not much, man. Just starting off Golden Week with a chill, simple live stream here with AV Collector. And talking
Oh
about
yeah, it is
posing.
Golden Week, nice. Okay, let's see. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to have Cooler grabbing Goku, because
Ah, okay. Yeah.
probably because like I know that obviously let's see. Ooh. But yeah, obviously, sorry, my girlfriend called me and I told her like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the live stream." And then she told me she's at Target and there's that new Goku that's going around. So,
Oh, nice.
I'll
Yes,
just keep it
please.
open. Let's see what happens. Okay. So yeah, obviously, in addition to all of the stuff I said before, I also like to kind of pose to the character. So like, typically Goku will do whatever it takes to like beat somebody, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
uh using that as an example, like here I kind of want to show that Goku's desperate, so that's why he's using Kaioken. And
Okay.
then uh Cooler is obviously cruel. You know, like
Yeah.
all the Frieza family is cruel, so what they want to do, or what they want to do. So what I typically uh would try to do is like, since Cooler is like a cruel character, he'll probably try to like make the fight as like long as possible so that Goku suffers, right? Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. So definitely, so kind of going back to what you said before, is about okay. So you start with a more dominant pose of action pose first, and you follow it with the reaction. But while
Exactly.
creating the actual pose itself, obviously you're breaking down the character itself and what their kind of motives would be. In this case, yeah, like you said, like Frieza, Cooler One, still a bit of a dick, right? They're like mean, so
Exactly.
it's a bit more brutal, not a nice clean fight, and like you said, it'll drag it out. So you kind of want to capture that in your pose.
Exactly. Yeah. And then sometimes, like even in the middle of it, like I'll do kind of like a storyboard, or not really a storyboard, but kind of just like trying out some poses. And
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, that makes
you know,
sense.
sometimes like I said out loud, I'm like, oh yeah, like I'll have him grabbing Goku. But then now I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, maybe I should have him using his tail, because not many poses. I mean, even
Mhm.
in the film, he didn't really use his tail much,
True,
but
true.
I kind of want to have my own spin on it, you know?
Yeah.
So I think what I might try doing is a tail, or actually, he grabs him with the tail and kind of drags him on the ground, maybe.
Yeah.
Hmm. All right, cool. So now that I have that idea in mind, I'll probably have my parts ready. Let me grab them. So I usually use these little containers. They come in like a drawer. So like
Okay, yeah.
I just grabbed the cup. I just grabbed the individual drawer, and obviously this is the parts for Kaioken Goku. And then let's see.
It definitely makes it easier than getting a box. That's one thing that always kind of drives me a bit nuts. Okay, I want to use this figure for a photo. Okay, but I need the parts. Like, crap, where's the box? Is it here? No. Is it there? No. Is it over there? No. Is it, okay, I give up. Next figure.
Yeah, exactly. All right, and then here's the cooler stuff. But yeah, cooler parts. Obviously, I'm gonna set them off over here. I have no space on my desk. All right, so after getting that idea, I kind of like do not hand poses, but I kind of just like try to get a sense for like what I'm gonna do. Because sometimes the idea is cool in animation and in your head, but then when you're actually like doing it in figure form, it kind of looks odd. So I try to like figure out what to do. So maybe.
All right. So actually, just breaking down a bit further first. So obviously, we've discussed like your kind of idea, motivation, and how you kind of get to that point. But when it comes to actually posing a figure, do you kind of start with one particular joint in general, or do you, is there any like do's or don'ts that you kind of follow?
So my main rule, at least like from what I'm pretty consistent with and what I tell other people, is that I always tell them to exaggerate the pose. So like with people who are kind of struggling with like getting a quote unquote good pose, because I don't want to say like my poses are great, you know? I mean, you guys can speak to it however you guys see it, but I always tell people exaggerate what you see. Or so if you want to like reference something, try in figure form, it's probably going to be a little like more odd, I should say, like in figure form, because sometimes like they're doing, obviously they do super dynamic things in the show, but when you do it in figure form, it just looks a little off. And then sometimes you may have to manipulate the figure a little bit more to try and get the pose. So like, for example, this is actually a really good example. So this is like the Saiyan Raised on Earth body mold. And the main, and I don't want to say issue, more so just the design, because I understand that for this belt, it's going to look odd if they use the more articulate waist. But as you can see here, like it doesn't really like rotate as much. So then you kind of got to get around it. And I didn't actually mod this one, you know, clipping the limiter. Like what I try to do sometimes, like for the splits, for example, like it's kind of easier to do it on this figure actually. But it's like if I wanted to do like a, I don't want to say split kick, but not like a split kick, but like So it's like, so like for example, you kind of have to like move this butt flap down more, just so it starts moving down, so that you can get that extra range.
So I think there's one thing, right? If you're doing it for either display purpose or especially a photo, you're more posing it for that one particular angle. So some angles may look absolutely stupid, but when you kind of twist it around, it'll make sense, right?
Yep, that is completely true. Yeah, because I'm coming more, and then also like that's a great point that you brought up, is that for me, I usually pose for my display, because I kind of treat my display as like a museum. And whenever I put something into it, that's my thing. You know what I mean? Like whatever that pose is, like that was the most definitive pose I could have put it in. And then obviously there's some figures like Purunga, like the dragons, like obviously they're just in one pose. So you know, there's no use in trying to like figure something out there. But for stuff like Cool or Goku, well, I mean, I have too many Gokus, but like, you know, I always try to find something. And then I'll touch on it a little bit more later. But actually, speaking of the what is it? Lowest Born Saiyan, my friend was able to find me one. But yeah,
that looks cool. Did you mod that one, or was that
I native? Did, yeah. So when you turn it around, you can see the gap. Honestly, it's not a bad. Like it still looks pretty cool.
Yeah, but, from the side, that looks so cool.
Yeah, and then I didn't throw the windy hair on it, but it looks like the definitive like Saiyan Saga Goku in my opinion. But
So
yeah,
good.
yeah, he's really good. But I'll touch on this later because for inspiration, like I've been watching a lot of like martial arts stuff lately, and I'm about to put whatever spare Gokus I got, I might throw them in some kung fu poses.
Nice.
All right, let's see. So, thinking about the tail. So obviously, limitations of the figures.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't a bendy tail, so I'm gonna have to figure out whether I keep on with this idea. But kind of like that thing I was talking about, where I like storyboard it with my hands, and then I figure out how to throw it on the stand. So, let's see.
So, are you thinking about kind of bending Goku over his tail here? Okay, yeah. I see where you're going with this, I think.
Yeah, so he's obviously gonna just be destroyed, Goku. there's no stopping that. But we're gonna figure out how this is gonna go.
Yeah. But for anyone watching, what other poses do you try to go for when you're displaying? Are you a bit more on the static side, or do you try to match up with a character in a more dynamic pose? I think kind of looking at mine, I'm more on the static with some dynamic, just to the space limitations, but I'd definitely love to get a bit more dynamic poses in there.
Let's see. So maybe... And then obviously on top of being cruel, it seems like a lot of the favorite martial arts movie. So I don't. Oh, you can go ahead. You can go first because.
Okay, I was gonna say one that came to mind was Kung Fu Hustle.
Yeah, that's such a good movie.
So, yeah, a good comedy one. But I haven't seen them in so long either. But the Drunken Master, all the old chain ones, I haven't seen since I was a kid. I should probably do a rewatch.
So I might have to abandon the tail idea just because like I wanted him to get whipped with it, but like just the way that it's kind of designed is just gonna look a little off.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about doing something like this, you know, like him like whipping, but then it's just like I feel like it was gonna be a bit odd, or maybe nah. I think I'll just do back with the grabbing idea. But actually, my favorite martial arts movie right now, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Martial Club.
No.
So Martial Club. Yeah, so Martial Club, it's this group of YouTubers, and there's 3 or 4 of them. 2 of them are brothers, and then the other 2 are, the other 2 are like just friends of them, and they're actually keeping like that old style kung fu like movie alive. So they recently came out with something called Shaolin Avengers.
Yeah.
And it's like a 25-minute video, and you guys should definitely check it out for yourselves, but they like keep that style alive, and they do all their own stunts too.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And actually, when you mentioned Drunken Master and like all the Kung Fu Hustle, they actually they made references to those movies.
Oh, true. Nice. Okay, I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah, because there's like a part where where they're like fighting the bad guy, and then he's like, hey, you have to go around him, and then he decides to use drunken style.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh shoot, this is actually pretty cool.
That's awesome. Let's see. Oh, true. Okay, so Alias is saying that apparently one of those guys was in Shang-Chi.
Yeah, the Death Dealer, the guy who was in the mask, that was one of them. And then also Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Okay, I still need to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great movie. I definitely recommend that one. All right, let's see.
Old Hustle SM living up to his hustle name. And there's a record base at Chef Cooler. Send it to his address immediately. Man, Cooler. Oh, at least he's going to release for the 40th anniversary, which is great because I know he was hugely popular.
I'm glad that
Also,
they were able to do both. Like when they announced Broly, I feel like a lot of people they weren't deflated, but I feel like they were expecting cooler. But Tamashi had a good idea with like doing that second announcement separately. It was like, oh, by the way,
hmm, I think the issue is like the US side have had a lot more chances at Broly, so he's not as sought after compared to other regions.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I know in the US, he got like what is it? I think he got a regular distribution, so more people had a chance to grab him. Like, well,
Yeah.
earlier, like back in like 2011 or 2012.
Yeah.
So I
And
totally
then the two follow-up event exclusives as well.
yeah, exactly. All right, let's see. So I think this is the definitive pose for Cooler right here. So he's going to be
Okay, that's looking cool. So let's talk about this one here a little bit now. So like in terms of like fluidity and like joints and stuff, what did you take into consideration when posing him like that?
Yeah, I got you. So basically, obviously, these even though it's a dynamic pose, you kind of have to have, at least this is how I'm going explaining it right now. It might change, but basically what I try to do is, yeah, it's a dynamic pose, but it's a, how do I put this? Like there's an expectation of motion. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
So it's kind of like, because he's going like this, he's
yeah.
obviously driving somebody into the ground. So then if he like kept going, what would it look like, you know?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so
So
like
kind of that's right. I guess that's the hard part, right? Because you're capturing that one specific moment in a series of motions, right? So you have to think about
exactly. Yeah, you got it right.
going.
Yeah, because like the main thing is like sometimes like yeah, it's really cool that like I don't know if you ever saw the that remastered Goku versus Frieza fight. It was like super high def. Like, you know what I'm talking about? They like
Yeah, I
made
think
it
I
for
do.
the anniversary.
Yeah.
But yeah, they made that, and then there's like he does a split kick. Like I don't know
Yeah.
the actual term for it, but like he does a split kick, and then he Frieza like barely dodges it, and it looks cool there. However, the main issue is that when you bring it to figure form, it may look odd because it's
Yeah.
like, well, what is Goku like doing? Is he like kicking him and making contact, or is Frieza just barely dodging it? You know? Yeah, and that's always kind of like the thing, because like whenever I'm thinking about it, that's why in the Discord server, like when I'm posing and it's like late at night, I'm like, hey guys, does this make sense? And like whenever I ask that, that's like one of the things I do, or that's one of the things I think about. It's like, does this make sense to the character? Does it make sense to the overall like pose?
Yeah, I know. Like sometimes I've done a pose. I'm like, yeah, this is cool. This is how I think. I ask like my wife or mate. Or sometimes I've seen a photo like maybe 86 or something, and be like, oh, what do you think of this? And maybe like, yes, cool, but what was it doing? So, oh, damn, okay, so it wasn't obvious. Okay, back to the drawing board.
No, yeah, for sure. I sometimes do that too. But like my girlfriend, she likes the photography aspect of it. And like I'll ask her for her opinion and she'll be like, yeah, that's cool. But she'll never be like, oh, that sucks. And like, no, that doesn't make sense.
She's pretty honest. She's like, no, that's bad. They wouldn't put their legs like that.
Yeah,
stand up. How would you stand? It's like, okay, good point. My weight distribution is off. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I can actually show you one of my poses over here a little bit later because I am surprised I was able to pull this off at all. It's a Broly figure, and I don't know how it hasn't fallen yet.
Oh, true. Nice.
Amazing.
Yes, it's always cool when you get like there's some figures which you can just chuck into the most randomest pose and they just have a great weight distribution balance, right? So no matter what pose, that just works well.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, here is the Goku. Obviously, is going to get grabbed, and I was gonna have him do face first, so like he was gonna get grabbed from the back, but also the expressions, like I feel like that just would have been a little odd. Like even with the shouting face, like I just feel like it was going to be a little bit odd. So I decided to just make it like Cooler's gonna grab him from here. And then obviously when I mentioned the physics, so he may be let's see. So as you can see, like the tie belt, like it's going this way. So
Yeah.
when he's getting, so he's probably going to be this way. So like Cooler will be grabbing him from here and then like pushing him this way. So
that's your point. So like obviously you don't want the belt face or flowing in the direction where he's going because that does not match, like you said, physics, right? So it needs to be
exactly, yeah. And like kind of
up.
just like it also helps the idea of that of like the physics, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like it's like, oh, so they're going that direction, and it's kind of like you kind of play the scene in your head. So kind of with my hands, I'm thinking of doing something like this.
Okay, now that is actually really cool already.
Yeah, so now the hardest part is going to be throwing these on the stand. And this is usually where I how do I put it? This is usually where I lose my cool sometimes because and don't cooperate sometimes. Let me get this ready.
Let's take one step back. Because stands, that is a good point. What stands do you use? So, for example, right, I do have a bunch of Tamashi ones, which I think are amazing when you first open them up. But once you've used them once or twice of posing, the clips in them just turn to shit.
Yeah.
So lately, I don't have one example, but lately I've been using the ones from the 100 yen shop instead, which are amazing and easy accessible in Japan. But for someone like you who's in the US or other people in another country, what is your go-to stand?
So, you bring up a great point where the Act 4, are they still called the Act 4s? Or are they
Act 4.
Act 4s. So the Act 4s are great. Don't get me wrong. Like for a while, they were basically like the kings of all stands.
Yeah.
But so a couple of years ago, when I really started getting into this hobby, obviously stands, they're pretty not hard to come by, but it was hard to find a quality stand. Yeah. But these ones specifically, I don't remember the name like exactly, but as you can see right here, it's still like the clip. It's still the clip, but it's very strong. And actually, I haven't had any of these break on me yet.
That's good.
I just get these ones off of Amazon. I can definitely drop a link for anybody that wants to go on my Instagram. I'll put a link like in one of my stories for sure. Just because like the nice thing with I don't want to say third party, but like just like the individual stands, I should say, or like the independent companies with the stands, I should say, they're good at making stuff in bulk. However, because of that, more than likely, some batches are going to be trash. Yeah. But that's kind of like the risk you take with the stands, because like, the way that they're designed, I feel like it's kind of it's basically just one big flaw connected to another big flaw. Because like the clamps are nice, but then the thing is the plastic around here typically breaks because there's so much.
That's the issue with the Tamashi ones. Like even on this one here, like it's just been holding up Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and now like one side it's kind of it's cracked, so now it won't even hold a figure. Yeah, and like you can't just replace these bits. Like you have to get the whole rest of a stand and figure, and it's like 1,000 yen for like 3 stands. It's like okay, I can just go to the 100 yen shop and buy like one stand for 110 yen instead. So that's like,
I know with actually Temu is a really good place to get stands if you don't want to buy them in like bulk. So whenever I say bulk, it's really just like it's like $20, or no, it's like $30 to $40 for like 20 stands, which is actually a pretty good value. But that's I understand that not everybody has that money. So Temu, and actually there's some Amazon sellers that have do they have, so you can like order it individually, but then like the main issue with that is like if you need more, you're just going to keep ordering more, so you might as well order the 40 pack or something.
So let's I remember back in the day it was the Obito stands. I think that's what they're called, right?
Yeah, either the Obitos or the I remember it was the ones that like a lot of people in the Discord use.
Yeah,
I know it started with the O, but those are good.
Yeah, there's the other one that you were using as well, with that weird tiny midget base, right?
Yeah, shoot, I completely forgot what that was called. It was called like McGovern or something.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But then the thing is, like, all of these companies like change their name all the time, and they all pretty much make the same thing. So, like
Yeah.
in the end,
Probably-
as long I would always recommend to look at the pictures of the stands, just because
Yeah.
like I bought it was advertised as this on Amazon, but then it gave me like another version, and like it worked,
wow.
but it was
Yeah.
just weird, you know. Okay, so what I would probably start with here is doing the bigger figure, as I mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
just because this one is the one that needs a little bit more attention. So, and Cooler is actually pretty light and has a good what is it? Not
Weight
basis
distribution.
support. Yeah, he has a really good weight distribution, so it's not really hard to get him on here. Let's see.
The tail is actually quite useful as well for doing the balancing.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, as you can see.
Oh
right
wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Straight away. That frame's holding up well.
Yeah, and I might have to tighten the screws real quick too, just to be safe. Yeah. Let me do that. I feel like giving in a little bit just because of how kind of loose the base screw is.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right, that should be good. All right, and then from there, then we figure out how to put Goku on here.
Yeah. So you'll use the same base plate for the stand?
Yep. Yeah. Just for the most part, I try to make sure that if there's a fighting scene or something like that, that they're both in the same like base, because it makes more sense to do it that way. And then if needed, I can possibly, and also like when transporting it too, it's a little easier to bring it as one instead of like two separate things, and then you have to like connect it and do all this stuff.
That's true. That's always a pain, right? You set it up on your desk, like, yeah, this is fucking badass. And you go to move it, and it's like, nope. Everything kind of falls
it's like,
apart.
well, I gotta repose like half of that collection now. And then one thing I kind of learned a little, not late, but something I learned when I was really getting into posing and stuff is that you don't always have to clip around the waist. Like you can clip around the leg and all that stuff. And like, not that people don't know that, but like it's always something where it's like you don't think about it until like later, you know.
That is very true. Like I think the Super Saiyan 3 Goku one, I originally had it clipped around his inner thigh leg area. That way he could kind of swivel, and then you use his foot to balance on the arm of the stand as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. I can actually, maybe I can show you guys later, but in my display, I actually have a Cooler fighting a Broly.
Yeah.
And then the back hook that Cooler has here, it actually like hooked on to Broly's arm, but like because of that, it's more stable.
Oh, nice, nice, yeah.
All right, let's see. I'm actually gonna share the link with some friends because I completely forgot to send this to them.
Right,
let's see.
Okay. Hustle's question: what are your thoughts on third-party Dragon Ball action figures? I think it's cool that we see characters that we wouldn't get as official releases. But like anything, right? Like these companies, it does kind of take away from the official license holders, and it can be kind of good in some ways. But on the whole, not a huge fan. I'd rather just wait for the official release. But yeah, it's one of those issues, right? With non-official items, if it kind of takes away, or if people buy it and then get disappointed and they won't buy the official one, then that will impact what we get down the line as well, potentially.
I think, yeah, jumping off of that, actually, I do like that sometimes it does cause Tamashi to kind of like, not that there is a direct correlation, but it is nice to kind of see like Tamashi hustle a little bit more on some releases, or like they'll improve like their new Cell Saga Goku that they're going to release, the 3.0, or like the more updated one. I like that they're finally releasing that. And I mean, not that who is it? I think Demoniacal Fit like had anything to do with it, but it is nice to kind of see them like innovate and do all that. And then also like a lot of third parties play. They're always following from the from Tamashi, you know. So it is kind of nice to see that. All right, let's see. All right, so like I said, this is usually where I lose my cool. And as you can see, like sometimes the limitation of the bases is that because of how they put the holes, like now I may have found out that it would have been better if I put it like over here.
Yeah.
But let's see. If I put it
yeah, this also I want to say, yeah, Hustle. There's a live stream we did actually a couple of months ago as with Burst as well, and quite a few people, and we discussed our third party quite in depth. So go check out that stream. It's
nice. Yeah.
But as Obi said, like basically what other companies do has no bearing on what they decide, and what they've got lined up is like years planned.
Yeah.
Like any company, they always have strict schedules, plans, and everything because they need to go through multiple different companies for approvals and validation and back and forth, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because it's always fun. I remember when Demoniacal Fit, they they posted, or I don't know if they released, but they released like a Ginyu, a Kaioken Goku, and then also like a Vegito Blue, and then the following year Tamashi like did the same thing. It was just like funny, and like even if it wasn't intentional, it was just like really funny to see that.
Sure. So, Saka, how do you say that?
Sakati. I just said
So,
it in the Filipino way possible. All right, let's see. All right, so yeah, I had to switch it around just so I could put the peg hole on this side because I think it's a little bit better. Let's see. I mean, even if it's not necessarily better, I can make this work, maybe.
Do you ever find that you run into an issue where the stand is so unbalanced it will fall over?
So I only found that one. So usually I find that like just once every like 10 times I'm posing. And that's mostly just because I'm trying to experiment with some other stuff too. So typically, let's see, I have to push this a little bit more over this way. And like usually the balance of the figures kind of like works itself. But I actually got 2 cats. I don't know if I ever said anything in the server, but I recently got 2 cats, and they like to climb on everything, and then luckily like my display is fine. They're pretty well with that, but then on my desk, like they walk around on my desk sometimes, and as you can see, there's too much stuff on here. And like my let me see. So I had the event exclusive, the New York Comic Con event exclusive. The Broly, he was set up with Goku and Vegeta, and then I think, what's up, Infinity? He's from my Instagram group, so.
Oh, nice. Sweet. Yeah, cheers for joining in, Infinity.
Yeah, he's super chill. But yeah, one of my cats like walked up. I think he walked up here, and then the thing is, most of the force was like going this way, so it was picking up, and like anything, if I tapped it, it probably would have just fallen over. And I'm like, well, I mean, nothing broke, and like I wasn't mad. It was just funny, but I was like, dang, like I did all that work, and now I have to redo it. But maybe I could do that at the end of the stream. All right, let's see. So right now. So right now I finally got him on the stand. It's not exactly where I want it to be, but honestly, this may be just as good because he's almost like grabbing him on his face right here.
That's cool. Yeah, okay, so kind of get him on the upper chest face area, just like throwing him down.
Basically. And like this is pretty much what I would do for like, and I'm not saying that this was a quick pose to do, but this is probably what I would come up with on the fly for the most part.
So, okay, looking at Goku, right? Obviously, he's getting fun. We kind of discussed this a little bit earlier in terms of the what's logical in physics, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what do you take into consideration when you think about the feet and hands here? Like, is it something in particular that you're
Yeah.
trying to maintain, or?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's actually a really good question because usually with hands, like this is gonna sound weird, but like it makes a lot of sense to me. But it's like I'm gonna move the camera back towards me. All right,
Yeah.
so like when you're falling back, like have you ever been in a chair and then it like reclines? What is it? It like reclines. You don't realize it
Yeah.
reclines, right? And then you're like you have the it's called the Moro reflex, but like it's your startle reflex. So it's kind
Okay.
of
Yeah.
like it's like you just like you sit down and then just like this.
Yeah.
So I try to imagine it like that, where it's like with the hands, I'm like, okay, if he's being like forcibly pushed down, like what is his
Yeah.
reflex, or like what would he be doing? And I feel like so like right here, what he would be doing is kind of like falling, or like he's ready to like
Yeah.
throw a punch, and then Cooler just came in out of nowhere and just like pushed him down. So I feel like instead of like him like I don't think when I'm falling over, I'm always like this, like I want to grab
Yeah.
onto
You
something.
spread out your hands, right? I guess like you kind of spread out to try and like slow down or
Exactly.
whatnot.
So like that's why I decided to use these hands right here.
Yeah.
I know the lighting's a little bit weird, but
No, you can see, yeah. So it's like basically the loose Kamehameha like hands that he comes with, right?
yeah. So like I feel like he's also I'm trying to convey that he's very desperate and he's just trying to fight this guy, but Cooler's just like tricking on him. But he's just having fun, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, what's up?
Right. Cheers for joining in, Albertos. Good
Yeah.
to see
So
another
like
AV fan here.
like right here, uh,
Yeah.
like I decided to use the teeth gritting face, and he's also kind of looking to the side at Cooler. And like with Goku, like he obviously he panics sometimes, and like my characterization of him right now is that he's how do I put it? Uh, so he's just desperate to just beat Cooler because
Yeah.
usually Goku fights somebody who's more powerful than him, and then he tries his best to just do anything he can. But like right here, I'm trying to show that he's very like desperate and just like this is like, all right, how do we beat this guy? You know? And Kaioken was like the only thing, at least in the movie, it was the only thing that he was able to like control outside of, because I don't think he was in control of Super Saiyan that much yet.
Yeah, exactly right.
At least in the movie. So yeah, I just wanted to convey that here. So yeah, that's the first pose. And now we're gonna
coming back to the boots though.
what's up?
So one thing like on using his boots as an example, right? I have like the Diamond Goku here as well.
Oh, nice.
Like there's always like the red line,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe there's some like character design detailing, which is like maybe a fixed line. But when you pose it or twist it, it will break that.
Oh yeah, that's also a really good point because it's I find that more so with like Marvel figures. So let me see.
Okay, yeah.
So like
Yeah, I was wondering if that's something you try to avoid, or just like, whatever, you just throw it out the wind and just go for the pose.
Yeah, I'm glad you actually asked that, just because with me, I try to just get the pose, but I try not to make it look too weird. So let me grab a figure. Let's see. Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of another good one. There's been one or two figures where it's like, it's cool, but when you like twist it around, it's just like the clothing is so disjointed that it really kind of looks a bit awkward.
Oh, for sure, yeah. So here's a good example. So I just grabbed a random Goku. This is the TNS store exclusive.
Yeah, love that figure. Love that figure.
It's great, yeah. So like you mentioned, where it's like, oh, would it break it? You know. So I think at least with how SH figure arts are designed, I'm okay with breaking it a little bit within reason. So basically, for example, let's see, I want him to go into like a low crouching. And this may not be a good example, but like, I'm just trying to get him into some like cooler fighting pose. All right, let's see. So it's like with this, for example. Let's see if I frame this right.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
as you can see, like right here, it's pretty much in line, but then in the back, you can tell that it's a little off.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think I'm fine with it on SH Figure Arts, just because they're just designed well here to the point where like I don't really have to worry about that too much. I think I get a little bit more bothered with it on Marvel Legends. Let me show you over here. And like,
I think you're holding Spider-Man, right? Yeah, I could definitely
yeah,
imagine like
this
the
is Miles
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man from the video game.
Yeah.
And like really fun figure. Don't get me wrong, really well designed. But as you can see here, he doesn't have a boot swivel.
Yeah.
So then when he like, when he does his Spider-Man stuff, or for lack of a better term, like when he's on the ground here, I can't rotate this, So it looks a little odd just because like nobody's ankle really like rolls out like that when they're on the ground. And like especially with the knee here, because it's like your brain is kind of like, oh, his knee is like straight here, but then his ankle looks like it just rolled.
Yeah.
So then like for me, like my instinct is to like move the knee to make it make more sense. But then the thing is now you have a weird looking knee and like the foot is and I'm not saying that Marvel Legends are bad. Don't get me wrong. They're designed well, but it's like sometimes I'm like it just looks a little.
I mean, it's a price point, right? They're targeted at a different audience as well, and for a different purpose as well. So each figure line, no matter what it is, right, whether it's like you see Marvel Legends, Figure Arts, MythX, or to the bigger stuff like your Hot Toys, right?
Exactly.
The degree of articulation will vary, and what you can and can't do will change. And so you need to keep in mind, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's just a give and take. So like I said, SH Figure Arts, I try to make it like make sense, as I keep saying. But for the most part, it doesn't bother me too much on import stuff, just because like they usually add like an individual like foot joint, or like something here. And like the 3.0 ankles are amazing because
I love it, right? Like seriously, like people bagged on the Dimag over here from the get-go about the knees and everything about him. Oh, so I was playing around with him before, taking him apart.
Oh, nice.
But like, there we go. The actual, like we get it. It's like, okay, the actual posing feels fluid, looks nice. But like when you got down, like you find out you got this little bit extra shin point of articulation. And then he actually has like this swivel and pivot on the ankles. It's so good. Like, I think one of the things for me, like posing, right, especially since I'm a bit more static, vanilla style posing, I'd say, in comparison to what you're doing. For me, the biggest thing that I aim for is to always have the feet flat on the ground. Like when you kind of have them on an angle, that's when the poses look a bit awkward. And normally you can fix it by just simply twisting the feet, right? Or the ankles that pivot a little bit, use those extra joints and swim them around. Then you get them flat on the ground with feet. And it becomes more natural looking, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like I'd say that most of the things I've kind of learned or picked up with people is like it's the small movements or small adjustments that make the greatest impact.
For sure, yeah. And that's why I know, don't get me wrong, Beast Gohan, I love that figure, but I do understand when people were talking, like, criticizing it. Well, like, it was completely fair because I think design-wise, we all saw what they were going for because that's the first time they used the full rubber shirt,
Yeah.
So, and then I'm glad that people kind of understood, like, or I'm glad there was like a contingent of people that were like, wait, like maybe this will lead into something cool in the future. And I know I was one of the people that said it. I don't want to say that I'm like the
I told you so.
yeah, like I was just like, all right, like it'll lead to something cooler. I mean,
yeah, exactly, right. Like you like not everything they do is always spot on. And you can kind of see what they're aiming for, and it sort of works, but it's probably not the best implementation of said idea. But I think for most of it, they kind of do get there. Like the Beast Gohan was still really fun to pose. but I think it didn't help that. I guess he was really hyped for a lot of people, especially in the US. So that I guess they were wanting like the pinnacle of a release in every aspect.
Yeah,
But
for sure. Okay, so
yeah.
I think next up, it is fair to bring in Cooler's father.
Oh, King
So,
Cold,
yeah,
nice.
and then we're gonna have Trunks killing him basically. Okay, so as you can see, I was already kind of playing with this. I was playing with this
Yeah.
like about a week ago, just because I wasn't really sure if I should save this for the stream, but I said, screw it, so I'll just throw it up on here. So I already chose the expressions for each for each
Yeah.
character. So obviously, when Trunks killed King Cold, it wasn't
Yeah.
as dynamic. You know, it's like he was just standing there, and not
Yeah.
that that's
Yeah.
bad, but like it was pretty cool. But in figure form, I'm gonna try and put my own little twist on it. So,
Yeah.
First, so in this case, obviously, Trunks is overpowering King Cold. So I want to convey that. I don't really want to do like a more even fight, kind of like if I were to pose. Uh, Actually, if we have enough time, I'll pose Goku against full power Frieza.
Yeah.
I don't want to like show that one was more powerful than the other because they're pretty like evenly matched. Actually,
For
Goku
sure.
was probably more powerful, but you know he was holding back as usual.
Yeah.
But like with this, obviously Trunks was more in control of the fight.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to show that even if it'll be more dynamic, like I want to show that Trunks was just more like in control of the fight. So let me grab some stands. You might have to add another arm to this part because this is going to be a little hefty.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
No, so just while you prep and get it ready, and like I guess the recap for maybe no one else that's joined in from the previous one we did. Obviously, you kind of think about the poses logically in terms of, I guess, how they would move and what the character is about as well. And then you kind of take reference from the series. You always try to match and align with what kind of happens, but you'll put your own take on it, your own twist.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes that can also be partly due to like going from animation to a actual figure form as well. What you see, you can't fully recreate anyway. So you take like that inspiration, like what they were conveying in that time, right?
For sure, yeah. So right here, obviously Trunks gave his sword to King Cold to kind of just like entertain him. And then so what I'm gonna do here is also the joints are squeaky, but then I used I used a little bit of the joint lube on this one, but now it's like kind of loose.
Too loose.
Yeah, so that's why like I'm like, okay, I'll just have one arm squeaky and that's fine. But
for those that are wondering, if you do have tight joints, a little bit of 100% silicone oil, just add it into the joint, it'll loosen up. But if you put too much, it'll be too loose as well. I think this is an issue I had on King Cold. Love a figure, but his arm shoulder joint area was pretty poor.
It's
overall.
I think I see what they were going with it because they wanted to add like a butterfly joint without it being like too rigid. But I think if they stuck to the more traditional traditional like hinge joint, it probably would have been a little bit more stable. But overall, still a great figure.
Yeah.
I wish that I wish the throne was in more of like a separate accessory though, because I know that's what probably drove the price up because you know bigger box, bigger or more shipping price. So. Okay, so I'm gonna make this more into an aerial pose because they were mostly on the ground. But I think what I'm gonna have King Cold do is like attack him like by swiping the sword at him, but it'll obviously be in the air. Now let's see. Sorry, listeners, you're gonna hear a lot of squeaking on this one. Let's see.
All good.
Yeah, so right here, I think I'm gonna have him do a one-handed, just because I just want to show that he's a little desperate and kind of like fighting with emotion.
Yes.
So let's see. So I think I'll do this, and then for the tail placement, Obviously, I'm also keeping in mind my display. I have detolfs, so I'm gonna try and like compress this as much as I can within reason. So I think
Okay, that's fair. So yeah, that makes a good point. Okay, so it depends on what you're posing for as well. Are you just doing it just for one-off, just for fun, for maybe just doing a photo, then your box uploaded, or for your display? And obviously, if it's for your display, you're going to be limited from what space you have available from both a vertical, horizontal standpoint as well, right? And your depth.
for sure, yeah. Yeah, obviously, like when you're just like doing like a really quick one-off, like you just want to take a picture. Like, I used to do a lot more hand posing because I didn't really have enough space to like set up lighting and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So like with this, I'm trying to keep in mind because cooler. King Cold is a very big figure. So like if I'm gonna
Yeah.
place this in with a bunch of other figures, I have to account for that. And then
Yeah.
even sometimes, like even if I account for everything, like when I bring it to my display, more than likely I'm gonna have to change something.
Yeah.
And typically with this, it's just because of the capes, because like the capes are solid, which I don't mind, but then the main issue is that when they come up against the glass like walls,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I gotta fold this in now. But luckily, that doesn't bother me too much because it still looks cool. So
Yeah.
I ain't too mad. All right, so I think I decided on this pose right here. So he's going to be attacking him, and they'll both be in the air basically. So I think,
So this is kind of like he's lunged or jumped back while at the same time swinging forward with the sword.
yeah. So I was thinking that he's like putting everything into the swing, and kind of like he's just like trying to put all as much force as he can on Trunks, and then right here. So the more challenging part with this, in my opinion, is not the balance, but more so the Trunks figure itself, or the how do I put it? The pose itself, just because of since he was static. I don't know whether or not to kind of like put him in a more dynamic pose, or should I have him do like, like if he stands still, like it kind of shows that he was like a badass. It's just like, oh, you can't move me. Like what are you gonna do? But then with this case, I think I may have him move, like kind of move to the side a little bit, but I'll show you what I mean by that.
Okay, looking for this. So yeah, because I'm serious, it's pretty badass and stuff. He just appears as like, nah, fuck you, boom, takes them all out.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. He's just like, oh, he's like, you're nothing to me. So
yeah,
I think obviously I chose the hands here, so the blast hand, and then also the he's gonna be grabbing the sword with here. Let's see. So I think with the direction I have him in here, I might. All right, and then I also chose the side looking face, so he's kind of like looking
nice,
like that. So I think what I'm gonna have him do is, so I'm gonna ab crunch a little bit, kind of have him. So I guess in this universe, he decided to fight him a little bit, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see. So yeah, I think when let's say this is the sword. Actually, perfect. Let's say this is the sword. He like swipes at him here. He like catches it. And he's like, okay, you're dead now. Yeah. Yeah. So it'll be like that. Now, this is like one of also another challenge. Sometimes it's just like, what direction should I do it from? So like, the thing is, like, it'd be cool if he was like up here.
So like, more of a top-down diagonal look.
Yeah, or should I have it more like here? But I think in this case, it's probably going to be a better idea if I do it like this, just because like you're able to showcase King Cold a little bit more, and like show off like more of that articulation here, instead of like if he was like down here. But
that's true. That's true.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see if it. We'll try top down first, just because that probably makes the most sense to do.
Yeah. So this one here, you'll basically clip on, I guess, on his tail or leg area, kind of underneath.
Yeah, so I'm gonna keep it more low, just because That's actually another trick I use, is that if I want them to be a little higher, I'll actually clip it on the lower part of their body.
Yeah.
Like, just because like it'll raise them up as if I was on the waist, and then now it's like down here. And actually, what I really like about characters with capes or like stuff in the back, sometimes you
Oh,
can
yeah.
even, like, just do this and it'll just
Yeah.
hold it up perfectly.
That's
But,
handy, right? And just
oh,
like kind
yeah,
of jam it up there.
it's awesome. Yeah, I love whenever like some characters have capes, like Piccolo. I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, we're just gonna clip it in through the back then. Here, let's see.
It definitely does make it a little bit easier, right? You can just like kind of hook it up
Oh,
there.
absolutely.
There's another figure recently that I did the same. Like, might have been Minato, maybe? From
Which
the
one?
Naruto line. Minato from Naruto.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, because
It was
like
gonna,
even you can actually, I've seen some people do this, and it actually might be an obsolete tip. Once 3.0s are more, but like sometimes I even put it like here, like through the gap,
yeah.
and like I'll just have it held up, and then it works perfectly fine. I actually did that a lot for pictures. I would like clamp it on to like a piece of plastic, like a clear plastic, and like shimmy it in between, and then I erase the stand later. Yeah,
That's a
I
good
know
idea.
AR Collector did that too. I remember
Yeah.
he like showed me. I'm like, how'd you like erase stands? He's like, oh, I just like put it on. I like stuck it on like a paintbrush onto a figure and like kept it there. And I was like, oh, okay. Then I kind of played around with that idea. All right, let's see. I tighten up the stand. Hopefully, there's no
Yeah,
failure.
speaking about other points, that like I think it's like the skewers, like for like cooking like the like toothpick style skewers or anything like that, are quite good. You can stick into those little wee gaps that the figures have in the joints.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Toydin's just asking, do we replace plastic case with soft goods? Personally, I prefer the plastic for the most part because it kind of fits in with how aesthetic and other figures in the line. But for Dragon Ball Z, at least, the new Piccolo one was kind of a hybrid, not Piccolo, Gohan and actually Piccolo from Daima as a hybrid of the plastic with some cape cloth. That was cool. But what about you, AV? Do you have a preference?
Yeah. So personally, I've been slowly moving towards fabric, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to buy fabric for my figures. So, because like I it's like that weird little dilemma in me where I understand that it takes a lot to make custom stuff, because nobody's really getting paid just for doing that, so I understand the prices, because I don't like disrespecting, well, I just don't like diminishing like the work people do. So it's like when people like customize stuff, like I'll have comments on it, but like I still respect that they tried to do it,
Exactly right.
because like you have to mess up somewhere first before you start getting better. So like
For
i'm
sure,
not
for sure.
i'm not gonna dog on what you're doing. Like, yeah, I'll criticize it, but like I won't do it in a way where I'm just like, oh, that's trash. I'll be like, okay, like it's not the best, but like you can definitely improve from there. Like one of the, I forgot his name, I think so, it's his Instagram handle is, I pronounce it as Zroly, so it's XROLY collects, I think.
Okay.
And he used to be like not a bad sculptor, but like he would try anything with sculpting.
Yeah.
And he did, and now he's like, his sculpt work is like beautiful. It looks like it's officially made, honestly.
Nice. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, no matter what new skill it is, when you first start, you're probably going to be pretty bad. And it just takes that repetitive practice over and over time. Make a mistake, learn from the mistake, try again, repeat, rinse,
Exactly, yeah.
Do for fun to get them making some badass stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Because so that's why, like, there's some customizers where I'm like, okay, you're overpricing it just because your name is on it.
Yeah.
But then I do understand like a lot of customizers, like they put a lot of work in, they use paint, so I understand why it turns into like a huge like price point. But also it's like, it is my wallet at the end of the day. I'm not going to pay 200 just because it's a repaint, you know. All right, let's see. Struggling a little bit to figure out what will work best. Might have to use 2 on this. Let's see. Because like it clips on well, but then it doesn't. It starts rotating.
Yeah.
So I have to figure out.
So you have one to maintain the weight, the other one to keep it into its position, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, this looks good still.
But yeah, for those watching, did you pick up the King Cold figure? And if so, what are your thoughts on it? Be keen to hear.
Yeah, also I saw another I saw another comment about what our thoughts are on the Hunter x Hunter line. I won't lie, haven't watched it, but
really? Okay, a good thing for you to do when you get some time.
Yeah, so my thing is I usually tell myself not to watch too much new stuff, or like I know it's not new, but just like general like just like newer things, just because of I know I'm gonna buy it. Because like with Jujutsu, I remember you guys like Havoc in the server, you guys were like telling me like, oh no, it's really good. I'm like, okay, I'll check it out. And I told myself like, all right, don't buy anything. Don't buy anything. Right when I watch it, I buy all the available figures at the time. I'm like, it's like, dang. Luckily, Hobby went on like a sale. They went on like a sale for them, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's nuts actually. The Jujutsu Kaisen figures, like the first, like Gojo was really hard to get on release in Japan, and then the kind of okay, and then the others were easy enough to get, and then everything went on sale everywhere, and then suddenly they shot up in price.
Yeah, I'm thinking that they're probably gonna wait until the anime ends, just because I know it'll be easier to like. I don't know what the process is, but I know that they don't want to spoil either, like unless it's like been shown in the show, you know. So like they could just be waiting until everything's done. So I think I'm gonna have to use another stand just because.
Too kind of bulky, and the weight is distribution on him was a bit off, I reckon.
It's very top heavy. It's very top heavy for sure. But nothing wrong with that. I will just adapt. Speaking of adapting, I hope that they can make a Maharaga figure soon, because that would be amazing.
That would be cool.
I could see him doing it, but dang.
Yeah, but I don't know if it'd be that popular. Like, he's cool, but yeah, would he sell that well? That's the issue. I think that's the benefit that the Dragon Ball line has, is that the line is so big. It has so many followers now that they can get away with making characters which are more just for the niche collectors or the hardcore fans, whereas the general public won't buy, right?
Yeah, I'm glad that P Bandai exists for that reason too, because like they don't have to make a loss on it either. But I know with the T week that they did, I mean, I would imagine that it was very few stock, but like they had Beast Gohan on there and Super 17. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was just like extra stuff for parts just in case people needed stuff, but
I assume that was probably a lot of people complained. I assume there was just a bit of a marketing issue where people thought it was like a full restock, but it's just like a stock clearance, which they regularly do like every couple of years. For anything that's premium Bandai, basically like companies like in this case Tamashii, they'll do like a sale, like they have it in Japan occasionally, and it's like obviously for those figures they're made for order. Say for example, I will just pick a random number. They make 1,000, right? They sell say 800, then make 1,000, then maybe the extra like 100 to 200 are set aside for like promotion use, maybe events for displays, shop displays, or whatever it may be. It's not premium, but for promotion purpose, and then maybe if someone breaks a figure or there's an issue, right, they need replacements, right? And then there'll be like some stock left over, and at that point, chuck it up for a sale, and that's quite common. I believe last year they did one in the US. They had a massive sale, right?
Oh yeah, I like the warehouses, I believe. Yeah,
Yeah,
from what I
yeah,
remember, because a couple of my friends also lived in they live in LA, and then they were
yeah.
able to, and there was like what at least like 20 of each figure. I was like, wow, that's crazy. Because one of them was Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, and then the other one
Mm,
was First Form Cell, which I'm still surprised is a regular release, but I'm not complaining. I love that figure.
that's good. I mean, I think like there's one thing that they're good at. They generally put like the main core bad guy, or like it's kind of like a hook, right? As a retail rate, so someone will pick that up. Oh, this is cool. Now I want this other figure to go for it. In which case they can go to like the premium Bandai and so forth. It's like with the Ginyu Force, right? Ginyu was retail, hook with that, and then the other ones which may not be as popular. Check them up for the made to order system.
Okay, let's see. So I might have to modify this a little bit. So as we can see here,
Yeah.
uh, obviously now it's stable. It's able to be held up. However, uh, it might be a little bit too low, but
Mm.
let's see. Or I could just have Trunks just this low, maybe. It's not a bad idea.
Haven't been cut down instead, or
Yeah. So basically, like he King Cold maybe thinks that he has the drop on him, but then Trunks is like, nah, you're still up. He's like, nah, don't worry, I'm still in charge of this. So let's see. This actually might be really interesting because in my display I have instead of Trunks like slicing Frieza in half straight off the bat, I have him like not a back and forth battle, but I just have Trunks kind of like uh attacking him like as if he like charged at him like from the ground.
okay, nice, yep,
And like what is it? Frieza is still, or the Mecha Frieza, I should say, is still like struggling. Like it looks like he's struggling to keep up with the fight. But this could be an interesting twist where it's like King Cold's now attacking him from the top, but like
yeah.
Trunks is still winning. So
I think that's one point, right? Like sometimes, like the idea that you may have may not quite work out once you start putting on stands and you realize, actually, no, this is too high, this is too low, this is going to be a bit awkward, and sometimes you may need to adapt, right?
exactly. So and then also another not it's more so me being nitpicky, but it's like the direction that they're or like where the eyes are looking. So let me see if I could grab it off of here.
Yeah, I think that's one thing. Like, there's been a few poses that I've wanted to do as well, and it's been a struggle just due to the fact that the figure is only looking straight forward, or maybe just looking to the right, but I need one that looks to the left.
Exactly.
I think it was recently I picked up like the amazing Yamaguchi railgun figures, and it was great because the figures themselves they had like the same expression for front, left, right.
Yeah,
Which
that does help. Yeah.
yeah,
So let's
I'd
see.
like to see that more from the SH figures, especially for Dragon Ball.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I hope sometime in the future they can figure out how to do like adjustable eyes because that would be such a game changer. But I mean, with what we have now, it's not horrible or bad at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see. So as you can see, like he's kind of more like straightforward here.
Yeah.
Like if he were to look down, he'd be looking here. But then if I have Trunks come in, this is going to be a little awkward. So if I have Trunks come in like right here, it would be as if he's looking more at his side. Or it would be as if like Trunks or King Cold is looking more at like Trunks' side. But I could also like make up an explanation saying like, oh, oops. But I could make up like, oh, Trunks is just too fast or something like that. And just chalk it up for that.
Indeed. Okay, sweet. Let's see how you get Trunks posed up here for this one. We'll probably try to wrap this up within the next 30 minutes or so.
Oh, for sure. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Let's see. So I think, I can quickly wrap this up.
All good. All right, so you're gonna on the base stand there's 3 peg holes. So you've basically taken the arms and 2 are being used for King Cole now just due to his weight distribution and bit heavier to keep him stable.
Mhm.
And
And
then you'll
then
use
in
the
the
third one to
and then
hold
in
it
the
up.
future, I could also change it up again. Sorry to cut you off,
No, that's all good.
but yeah, I could in the future. I might modify this, but honestly, I'm really liking how this is turning out a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I think that's one of the benefits for the articulated figure. In this case, if you're into Dragon Ball, right? And you have a lot of options. You've got your statue ones, which are great, like your Bun Presto, your Ichiran Kuji figures. If you just want that one static poses, really love it. Or even from the Tamashi one, the figure out Zero. But if you want to play around with your figures a bit more, I mean, yeah, the SH figure outs line is really good for that, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah. That's always what I like about it is that you could probably, because I know there's some people that set up their display like more flexible, so like they'll have them in static position, but then you can like grab it off the shelf and then mess with them a bit more. I think I like, for me at least, I personally really like having that idea that I was like, yeah, I found the definitive pose, and like now I can look at that all the time.
Yeah, I know I definitely don't change mine up too much. It's like, okay, that's kind of cool. As I say, when I want to do photos, I would take one out and then play with it at that time.
Nice.
It's actually surprisingly a lot of hard work to set up the poses for display, right? As well.
So much, yeah. I want to do like one more video of my display right now because I'm going to be moving like in a month or two. So
what a mission.
Yeah, it's going to be
good luck.
And like my dilemma too is that I'm not going to be living at that place forever, or at least for a long time. So I'm like, do I take it all out, or do I like, keep it there? Whatever. Sorry,
I had that issue as well previously when I was like kind of in between places. So I had everything boxed up and basically in storage for a long time. It's nice to finally get everything out again.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, do I like pose it all up, or do I just make them stand there until like the next time I move? But I'll see, because with how like just generally the economy is right now, I just need to start working my ass off.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. So I put the stand on him right away, just so.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and
then you can just. Okay, that's a good idea. So you kind of get him into a pose, get the stand attached to his body, and then you'll clip it into the base, opposed to clipping into the base, then trying to wiggle him in. Because I assume you want him close to the sword, right?
Yeah, like what you pointed out actually is like sometimes it's just you also want to see, like, I have an idea of like how it's gonna plug into here. So I'm just like, okay, now I have to readjust it, and then I go from there again.
I know you've got the screwdriver as well. Like one thing, I assume everyone's seen it already, but there are the screws in the arms for stands. So if it's too tight, you can loosen up, or again, if it's too loose, tighten it. And normally, if you want to, once you go into the right pose, it is a good idea to tighten them up so it doesn't loosen up over time.
Let's see. Yeah, I'll probably adjust this again in the future, but for right now, this is looking pretty promising.
Nice. Can't wait to see the final form. But yeah, as Hustle was saying, he's got like the King Colden throne, and yeah, it's one of the issues where you kind of like get one, there's like, okay, now I've got this, now I need this one to pair with it. Oh, but then I forget that I also want this one, then this one, then that one, then this one.
Yeah, that's my issue with how I collect. I usually collect for forms or like scenes, and just it just sucks sometimes because I was like, oh, like this is cool, but my wallet is gonna hate me forever.
Yep, it definitely is very much like that.
Yeah,
I have a bad habit of picking up random accessories and other parts of it. Like, oh, that would be cool for a photo. This would be cool for display. And you amass a whole bunch of random crap suddenly. It's like,
Whoops. Let's see. I think I can do a little mock-up right now, and then I could definitely improve
Right.
this later.
But yeah, be sure to take a whole bunch of photos of your display and check them up on your Insta and stuff. Or check in the store so people can go check them out, because you've talked about a few cool ones that you have set up at the moment, like was it the Trunks and Freeze one already? And you mentioned one previously. Oh, what was it? One with Goku one?
Yeah,
Oh, Goku cooler.
Yeah, there's like a Goku cooler. I don't
Yeah,
know.
take some photos and check it on Insta later. It'd be cool.
I think I have this for now. I'll definitely improve this later, but for
Yeah.
right now, this is a pretty good like starting point where it's just he caught the sword right there.
Okay, yeah.
And then
Does he have his knee into King Cold's arm, is it? Or his leg?
Oh,
Is
yeah,
it knee
he
to
does
knee?
look like that. It's actually there's actually a lot of space in between, but he's kind of just like I'm too
Okay,
fast
yeah.
for you, man. Yeah, and then
Nice. So it's kind of like he's grabbing kind of like we hop up in his back with a key blast straight into King Cold's face.
exactly.
Awesome.
And I know it was like in the series, it was in his body, but like same difference.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah, I love the fact that you mentioned it, dynamic poses using a single stand, and the figures are looking very fluid. Like, I think the main takeaway that you tend to do, you always try to bend the knees and get them up and around a bit more.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because like obviously for me, I mentioned that I pose for my display. I don't pose for
Yeah.
pictures really. So like with this, I'm just like, okay, I would be pretty happy, but like the only improvements the only adjustments I make are due to just like I don't want to say logistics, but just like the logic behind it. So it's like King Cold right here. I mean, I can't really show you too well. I'm not sure if you can see this. I don't want to pick this up and it like crumbles, but like
Yeah, that's all good. You can take some photos and check on Insta later, be keen to see.
oh,
But
for
yeah,
sure, yeah, I could do that. But yeah, like as you can see, like King Cold, it looks like he's looking more down.
Yeah.
So it looks like he's looking more down, and then Trunks is just like looking at his face, so it looks a little off. But I mean, that's what we can readjust for. But at least for the stream and right now, like it's pretty nice looking.
Awesome. Yeah, so I guess that is a main thing. Like often I'll do that. So I'll do a pose and look at it in person. Like, oh, this is cool, and I'll go take a photo. It's like, hang on a minute, that looks off. This is slightly a bit awkward. He's not quite looking where I thought he was looking. Right.
Exactly. So it's always like that give and take battle where it's like, okay, where do I have to compromise now? And like for a lot of my figures, I always had like some idea of what to do, and then right when I get it, I'm like, all right, that idea is not going to work at all. Now I have to go back to the drawing board, figure out like what else I can do, and I always try to vary it up too, because like I have a very, I mean, I feel like a lot of people notice it, but like I have a very let's see, I'll use this figure right here. So for like the Gokus, you know. So I always end up doing something like this, where it's just like a knee, like a leg is up, the other one's like this.
Yeah.
And then he's
You
just like
go-to pose that you like doing.
yeah, it's like
that one there for one that the arm forward punch one.
something like this where it's like I like to do it, but I also try not to do it too much. But that's actually why I brought up the martial arts stuff. I'm glad you brought it up earlier, just because like now I have a little bit more inspiration. I'm like, oh, I can actually do a couple more things. But yeah, like
definitely, especially like with first series like Dragon Ball, it definitely has that martial arts root as well. So like when you see Goku in the martial arts pose, it doesn't look out of place either, which is cool.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's a little difficult. Because like with other lines, for example, like not Jujutsu, but like Bleach, for example. And I will say, I'm not biased. I'm like very inexperienced with Bleach because I won't lie, I haven't watched it yet, even though I bought all the figures. But like, I usually ask my brother, I'm like, hey, like, what's like Ichigo's, or not Ichigo, but like, one I was struggling with was not Hitsugaya, the one who controls the sword bits.
Byakuya. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Always
Let me move this back.
Yeah.
Because we're not looking at the figures anymore. But yeah, like Byakuya, like I had no idea like what he did. But then I made a pose and it's more dynamic, but I asked like in the server, and my brother, he's like, yeah, he doesn't move. He just stays there. I'm like, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm like, so basically I was like, so basically he would never do that. He's like, no, not really. I'm like, oh, okay, well, shit, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I always try to like just, I don't want to say like stay true to the character. I just want to be like act like when you look at that character, it's like, would he do that? So
Yeah.
a really
That
good
makes
example of that is like right here, Kenpachi. I got
Yeah.
him during the Black Friday sale at Hobby Genki, and I still have
Yeah.
to like figure out a definitive pose, but I think I'm pretty close. But like from what I heard from other friends is like he's a like a tank. So it's like,
Yeah, I guess so.
you know,
He's just very wild. Just does fight, just charges straight in and just like sheer power.
yeah, exactly. So like when I pose or when I like did this pose for him, like it looks like he's just having the time of his life and he's just charging in, right? But like obviously I can't do that with Byakyo, you know, because
Yeah.
Byakyo is more of a like professional. He's just like, okay, like we'll take out the person and we'll just go home, you know.
Yeah.
So that's why that's always like my little thing. Each time I pose some like any character,
Right.
I'm like, all right, does that make sense? And I
Yeah,
try
I
to
think that's a
give
good
my
way.
own, yeah, and I try to like get my own like little take on it. And I actually
Yeah.
struggle to pose like Wolverine, for example, because like yeah, very dynamic character. He does a lot of good stuff. Like that's the reason why I brought it up is because I just had him right here. But like for the most part, it's like when you think about it, he doesn't really like have various poses. Or I'm not creative enough, but it's just like if you think about it, he really just like punches or like
Yeah.
punches with the claws or like he charges at you, but like it's not like he's doing a flip and then like slashing you and like
Yeah.
saying a move, you know.
Yeah.
So that's always like what I try to envision. I'm like, okay, it makes sense that he's doing that, but like, how do I like put my own little spin on it? You know?
Yeah. That's fair.
You know?
All right. Another one before we wrap up. One other point I want to touch on because you showed him before. You had the new Goku, the Target exclusive one that you've modded. So I know like a lot of people are going into modding their figures to give more range of articulation.
Mhm.
Is that something that you are really into, or do you normally pick up like a second figure just to do that? And
I think it does depend. So like I know people love the Saiyan Raised on Earth body mold, and I think it's a really well designed Goku. Or actually overall figure, it's a really well designed figure
yeah,
overall. But there's like some limitations and like I mean you saw me preaching about it years ago, but how I talked about like the Super Saiyan 3 waist versus the Saiyan Raised on Earth
yeah,
waist,
yeah,
you know? And like I'm more for articulation, but I also understand design things and aesthetics. So like if they decided to go with the more gappy waist, like it's
yeah,
just gonna look weird, you know. And I
yeah,
know
yeah,
they did it at Yamcha, but like it still like would look odd, and also it would probably bring up the price point because the articulation would go up.
yeah,
So like I understand that, but like modding the figures, I try to do it within reason. So it's like the mod where you like pop off the upper body.
yeah,
Uh, like that one's pretty easy to do. So I'm like, okay, I'll just do that, and I'm completely fine with like doing something like that. But like if it required me to like basically be like a engineer, I'm like, no, I'm not doing any of that because
yeah,
with a lot of McFarlane figures, like they're great figures, don't get me wrong, but a lot of my friends will do like heavy modding with that,
okay,
where they'll like take out a chunk of like plastic just so it can do an ab crunch. I'm just like, I don't know if I'll do that, but
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, so one another reason I was thinking about is with the Dharma Goku, as one
Um,
bod from around in '86 posted a video, the blue part underneath you can actually remove,
oh,
and that will give it a little bit more range of motion in there as well because it's a solid piece of plastic, right? Obviously, it's there for stability and to make the figure more rigid, right, for
yeah, I
protecting the
remember you
parts.
mentioning it in the server. I read that comment. I was like, oh, that is a good point because I
Yeah,
feel like that's also what they're trying to do with the new Goku. Because like I mentioned before with Beast Gohan, you know, they were trying to do like the not like invisible joints, but more so just like uh having a more like clean figure,
Yeah,
clean looking
very much
figure.
so.
So yeah, I'm glad that like yeah, Beast Gohan kind of suffered from that, but they've been slowly improving with it, and with what they're doing with that new Super Saiyan Goku that's gonna come out soon, like that's
It
gonna
was
be
so good.
yeah.
But since you mentioned that, like one thing, like the new design for the Daimo Goku, I was talking with the leader Nations, right? And it's more about he wanted a proper silhouette, like when you move and pose him,
Hmm.
it looks solid and nice, and you don't get like the giant. I don't have a
Yeah,
good one
I
to
know
remember.
exactly what you mean. Let me.
When you pose with knee, it's like leg, get, kneecap,
Yeah,
get, knee.
for sure.
Yeah. So
Here, let
to
me.
alleviate those type of things while maintaining articulation, and they've put a lot of work into
Here,
those
like
type of design.
here's the DF. So yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like it just
Yeah, yeah,
doesn't look as natural.
yeah.
But yeah, I think I like where they went with it, where it's like it's more realistic. So it's like yeah, you have less range of motion. However,
But
it just
even
looks
on this one, you have like when I look at it, it's like still like just the same basically, right? Because it also depends on
Mhm.
the character's designer. In this case, they have a flared gi or pants, so they'll hinder a little bit, but for the most part, it's really good.
Yeah, exactly. Like it realistically. So I think a really good example that everybody is still kind of conflicted on, or at least mostly conflicted on, I should say, is like the butt flap. So it's like
Yeah,
yeah, so it's like it sucks that, you know, let me see. It sucks that of course, you know, you can't do this anymore.
yeah,
You know? However, how many times are you really going to be doing that?
exactly. That's the thing. Like sometimes like, when people complain about articulation, it's like actually in actual practice, it doesn't become an issue, or it's such a minuscule problem as like the pros will outweigh the cons in that sense.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think we'll wrap up the stream in a couple of minutes. But just to recap for anyone that's joined in, some of the great tips that we have had from AV Collector was when you want to do a pose, like kind of think about it logically in terms of like both a physics standpoint and what the character does. Um, are they a martial artist or not? If you want to try and stick to a more accurate pose, right? You take reference from the actual scenes, but you try to put your own twist on, right?
Yeah. So like if you genuinely like a scene a lot, by all means, do your thing. Like if you want to do it exactly as you see it in the anime, that's completely up to you. But like I also encourage people to do their own thing just because like
Yeah,
it'll bring like the creative juices are just going to like start flowing and then now you're going to want to pose everything. So
yeah,
and it keeps
that's
that
good, right?
love for the hobby alive too cuz
Definitely. Yeah, nice. And then on top of that, like you were saying, exaggerate the poses as well. Like if he's like kind of throwing a punch, like fully go through even further. Just because it helps to kind of come through a bit more on the figure side, right? And like kind of twist each joint around, but while also doing that, try to make sure these not what's the word I'm trying to think of,
want to say
defying
like
gravity or like
like
arm beings this way, not the
yeah,
other way.
like
So
anatomically correct stuff like
there you
that.
go. Yeah, yeah.
Anything else that I said?
Thanks as well as saying he prefers the freestyle. He gets more inspiration from the show. Yeah, I
Oh,
think
for sure.
that's kind of basically what Avi is saying as well. Um, I'm kind of saying I often actually will go to like Google Images and search for Goku fighting pose or whatever
Mm,
character, right? And then I go through, so, oh yeah, that's it. And you get like fan art and other images as
mhm.
well. But like kind of you find one that kind of clicks with you, what kind of captures the
Yeah.
essence of the character you want to portray, right?
Actually, let me show you an example of like what I would do lately.
Yeah.
So lately, what I've been doing is kind of like, so I'll pull up my phone or like I'll be on my desktop and then I look up, what is it? So I'll look up like a martial art, for example. So
Yeah.
actually, one of the Gohans that I have, I forgot which one. I think Great Saiyaman. I have him doing like a Tai Chi type pose.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like for example, actually a lot of like I mentioned earlier, the martial arts movies. So Ip Man is a really good one for like it's like a lot of like, how do I put it? Obviously dynamic posing, but then kind of just like those general like, I don't want to say stereotypical, but like for example, when I say like Wing Chun, like a lot of people will like do this, but then like you get a lot of good references from that for poses. And then like Tai Chi was just like the cool one for that, because like the hands that he had, like some of them go like this. So like I was able to get like that Tai Chi pose like down. But I think I'm gonna try drunken style next with a couple like figures, because
nice.
Those things were like, the poses for that are just amazing.
Yeah. The Doshi figures are pretty good for that, and same with Jackie Chan one, because it comes with like the hands.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And you can check those that. But yeah, I think those were main tips there. And then obviously, like trying to keep the balance in mind for the character, where the weight distribution as well, how someone would spread their legs, and a little bit minor twists and turns. I still have a Goku here. Like you may have him right pose, but then maybe it's slightly twisting a little bit, turning around, or just like real minor movements on each joint, right? Because a lot of people just try and figure or pose it with just like the main one arm, leg, and move, but then it looks a bit rigid, right? It's just like adjust it, shoulder, drop it up, forwards and back. And once you kind of do that, it's like instead of being kind of stiff, it's like, oh, it's opened up a bit more, looking a bit more natural, right?
Exactly, yeah. Just like always try to keep in mind like what you want, and then obviously like what you want can change over time. And then
definitely.
Overall, I always just recommend to just exaggerate it, just because like sometimes when you're looking at it in the anime, obviously it's like a cool moment, but then it might be animated a little off, so it doesn't look as dynamic as you want it to be. So like just adding that extra little bit of like oomph, just like instead of the leg, like where did I put it? Right. Yeah, like I know for this Goku, I know the promo images had him more like doing something like this, where it's like his butt was sticking out more, but then for me, it was just like extending the leg out. Yeah, sorry, I keep forgetting the camera view's like right there. But like extending the like leg out a little bit more, and like having him not so much in like a natural squat position, but having him like actually extend out more makes it look overall a little better.
Yeah, it helps that you've got the model on there, so you can get twisted down and around a lot more as well. But yeah, I think that's the main takeaway. Like patience, small movements here and there, have some nice reference material, and just practice, right?
And also, like overall, with all of it, just have fun with it. If you're enjoying it, that's all that really matters. Like if you're stressing out over a pose, which I have many times, like it happens, but always just try to have fun with it, because the whole hobby is made for fun, not for stress.
Exactly, right? That's the main thing. If you're not having fun, why bother?
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, be sure to take a bunch of more photos. Check some photos of ones you've done today up on your Insta as well, so people can check that out.
For sure, yeah.
AV Anabar Collector. But yeah, I think we'll wrap up the video here. You can just stay on for a couple of minutes after this. Cool. But first off, again, thank you so much for everyone that's joined in, left all the comments. Also, if you're watching this later, leave more comments. You can always hit AV Collector up directly on the Discord. And there is a link somewhere on one of this video or any one of the videos on the channel, so easy to find. But before we wrap up, any last thoughts or comments or anything you want to say to the people watching?
I just hope you guys had fun today. I definitely had a lot of fun in just getting more insight into how I pose, and hopefully I helped a lot of you guys out there today.
Nice. Yeah, actually, one thing you mentioned there, insight into your own posing, really is that once you start talking about what you're doing, it kind of helps things click a little bit, right? Like
exactly, yeah.
With like programming, a lot of people will say like, "Oh, I have a soft toy," and talk through your problem or your issue with that, and then they'll make you understand. It's kind of the same, I guess, with posing. If you just talk to your figure, say, "I wanted you to be like this. This is me."
Actually, I would even take it a step further, where like just act out the pose. So like it's just like, okay, what would I do in this situation? It's like, okay, like I mean, granted, Goku's a Saiyan, but he's basically a human. But it's just like,
Yeah.
how would he react when he falls back or he's being forced back? Like, how would I react? And then kind of go from there.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Jumping back, but you talked before when you like fall back in the chair, like how your body would react to that situation.
Yeah, and then obviously I'm not being dragged through the air by an alien, but like it's just like kind of imagining yourself in that.
Well, so if you can line
It
up,
could happen, but you know, I'm not planning on that yet, but it could happen.
yeah, you could do, you could do. But anyway, that is it for the stream. Thank you so much for joining in. I appreciate you joining on the channel. Obviously, we've known each other for quite a few years on the Discord, chit-chatting, bullshitting a lot of the time. So it's good to do a stream. And yeah, again, thank you very much for everyone that's joined in. I do plan on doing more live streams more regularly. May's going to be a bit busy, but I am prepping something fun, hopefully interactive, maybe May or June with a couple of guests. So keep an eye out for that. And more review videos coming sooner or later whenever a new figure releases. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, let's close up. So thanks for everyone for coming.
Thank you.
Talk to you later.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, I always do this. Forget to end stream. There we go. End stream.